Some people are just born to win. We all know who they are because they just make themselves known. They're the shining beacons for their way of life, and we look to them for how we think we should live our own lives. Because they're the winners. Football players, rock stars, actresses and poets and preachers, and all the Kennedys. We all know the winners, but the reason this is different is you'll never remember these names. We never even made one touchdown or a top hit. We possess no God-given talents that makes us different than all the rest. We're the tiny twisted figures you see scrambling behind you when you look back from the finish line. We're the ones of us that never win. We are the losers.
Have you ever been run down in the middle of the road? Have you ever earned a living by working in the cold? Have you seen the sun rise on 6 doses of acid? Like a machine in a world made of plastic. It's a long hard road and it's twisting and turning. The pit of my stomach is constantly burning. Have you ever earned a wage just to sing and drink beer? Have you played till your ears ring and can't hardly hear? Have you written a sad song and cried when you heard? Have you walked on a chain gang till your time was all served? It's a race I chose and I've been a few laps. So trade me a story, cause it's good for a laugh. It's good for a laugh.
When I think about it, I hear what I'm saying, but it still doesn't quite register. It's as though the same dark cloud was always hung over our heads, but we just decided to learn how to live in its shadow. Some guy from town once asked me how come I didn't want to lead a normal life. I didn't hardly know what he meant. I just looked at him. See now? That's me. No one calls me, but whenever they do, it's always Roof. I lived here all my life, and everybody from this part of the world knew me because Terrence was my dad, and he couldn't have been a more rotten sumbitch. He spent most of my life locked up down there in Huntsville, for stealing mostly. I guess that's where I picked it up. I never had anything, so you always just had to fend for yourself, because if you didn't, nobody else would do it for you. I did 46 months down in Sugarland for hitting and run. Coming out of a salvage yard we robbed for less than $100. That's when I began doing a lot of reading. Now I had time to read all the greats. I read the Bible from cover to cover, the Koran, the Torah, Moby Dick. My favorite story, I think, was Billy Budd, 'cause here's this guy that Melville stuck out there to fend on his own. And when they hung him on the deck of that ship, I was like, oh shit. 'Cause I understood what it felt like, 'cause a penitentiary's a lot like a ship. 'Cause the captain's a warden, and just by way of being there, you get a new appreciation for why they call them the first mates. And right over there's my friend Lynn. Well, that's really who this story's about. He lived all his life here too, and he never even left town but for the 18 months he did down in Sugarland, despite what he'd tell you. His real name was Lawrence, but everybody started calling him Lim after he fell out of a boat arc tree in the 7th grade because of a rotten limb. It gouged out a big hole in the back of his skull, so it still causes him to have blackouts from time to time. That's why he always has to have something to cover his eyes. He's afraid they'll get poked out. He did his 18 months in Sugarland when I was there for vandalizing a church in a square in town. A strange thing too, 'cause we met in the chapel service out there on the prison farm.
I love Jesus.
And after that, then you'll be home.
He came forward one Sunday and wanted to repent for what he'd done. So he did repent, unashamed, in front of some of the meanest dregs to ever carve their name into a prison wall. He even got baptized out at the pool back behind the greenhouse. That's when we became friends, because when I found out we was from the same town, I went to the baptism.
Praise the Lord! Praise the Lord!
They told me that his family owned a sawmill, and that he had a job for me when I got back here. I think he even gave me my own room in his house, but he never even had a family. I still don't even know how he ever made it home. He had had another one of his blackouts before his release, and he awoke to find that he had wandered across the freeway in his sleep. He said he was almost killed by a car, who then stopped and beat him up for being in the middle of the road. More than that, he really wouldn't say. He didn't really want to talk about it, but the way I figures, they kicked the hell out of him pretty good and left him for dead. Probably would have killed anybody else, but Lem, the pain he's got on the outside, seems to be the least of his troubles. Like his body can take a licking, where his heart sometimes caves right in.
Can't keep a good man down. Can't keep a good man down. Down, down, down. I've tried lying to you, reckoning but it comes up.
I ran into him up at the Shell using the sink to wash the blood off his face. Since then, he only talked about how he wanted to get out of this town and hopped a train to Oklahoma to follow his destiny. That was more than 4 years ago. I still don't know why I chose to stay and why he wouldn't leave. I wondered if he knew that each time he thought about hopping that train that he wouldn't leave. I wondered if he knew that people like us weren't good enough for a miracle. 'Cause you know, miracles are something you gotta buy nowadays.
And Roof, I can tell something about today. Feels different than yesterday, don't it? Really feels like it, man. What we been waiting for? Can you feel it? Can you feel it, Roof?
I can feel my balls freezing off.
Oh, man. It's that air. It's that clean morning air. Can you feel that? Nothing to hold you back from whatever you want to do, you know?
Well, what is it today, Lem? We can head on over to the mill, I reckon, to see what kind of scraps they got for us.
I ain't gonna need it after today. Tonight, I'm gonna hop that train. I'm gonna ride it. I'm gonna ride it all the way up to Oklahoma.
Shit, Lem, what you gonna do up there you can't do right here, man?
I'm gonna go see. Find out about my destiny. That's why it feels different today, Roof. I think tomorrow I'm gonna wake up in one of those shelters up there in Oklahoma. No more sleeping in the ditch.
You think they got shelters up there in Oklahoma, huh?
Hell yeah, they got shelters in Oklahoma, man. Spend one winter outside in Oklahoma, be the last winter you spend up there, shit.
So you think you can stay warm up there then?
Warm? It's hard to keep warm when it's 10 degrees in your back pocket.
Well, I heard they got Indian caves up there, Lem. Maybe you can stay in one of those.
Man, you think some Indian's gonna let you waltz up in his cave and let you live there? Hell no! You gotta build up some trust with them. You gotta show them you're brave. You gotta climb to the top of the mountain. Get them a peacock feather or something like that. So they knows you ain't trying to screw them, Roof.
Sort of like the white man did, huh?
Yeah, man. They already got screwed by the white man so many times. They ain't gonna let anybody just roll up in their cave, live there.
So you think they got mountains up there in Oklahoma, Lem?
Hell no. It's flatter than Texas.
Well, where in tarnation do you think you're gonna get a feather then?
You gotta have a destiny, Roof. You know, like me. First thing, I'm gonna get on that train. I'm gonna ride for a while. Eventually get up to Oklahoma. But maybe I'll just ride every last mile of that rail and look it all over good. Swim at every lake we stop at and eat from all the fruit trees all over the country. I sleep like a baby once I'm on that train.
Yeah, well then. I'm glad somebody has a destiny. Might as well be you. Where the hell's your destiny gonna take you to today? On over to the mill?
Hell no, man. You hear me, man? There's no more waiting around, eating out of dumpsters. Jumping on that train tonight and headed up to Oklahoma. I gotta get out of here, Roof. I've been waiting here for something to tell me where to head off to next. I've been hearing things. I've got a destiny out there for me, you know? I've gotta go find it. I mean, this can't be all there is.
You ever wonder what God looks like?
You don't think he looks like his picture?
No, man. It's what someone else thinks he looks like. That's not the real one. He ain't walking around with no robe nowadays. He's this old-time spirit. Drives a big, long car. Helps people who needs it.
You sure you ain't talking about Elvis?
No, man, it ain't Elvis. I'm serious, Roof.
Well, yeah, like you've seen him before.
Man, I seen him one time. Jumped train on the way back from Oklahoma. Got kicked off around Amarillo. Man, walked for 2 days. Not a living soul in sight. I thought the buzzards was gonna eat me. Till this old big car pulls up beside me. Spulls his window down, and I look down inside and see this most peaceful looking man staring back at me through the dust. Black suit, white hair, mustache, his eyes, Roof. So familiar. Like I've seen him somewhere before, you know?
It was Elvis, huh?
No, man. It was the Good Shepherd.
So you really think it was God?
Hell yeah, it was him. He gave me a ride all the way to Fort Worth. He had air conditioning and everything.
Well, yeah,
Wow.
Did you get to talk to him?
Hell yeah, that's what I'm trying to tell you. It's a long ride from Amarillo to Fort Worth.
Well, what'd you talk about?
Man, we talked about everything. He told me some stuff he ain't ever told anybody.
So there you are, rolling down the road in the Lord's Cadillac.
It was a Continental.
And you can ask him anything you want to, huh?
Yeah, that's what I keep trying to tell you, Roof. He told me things he ain't told nobody.
Did he let you smoke?
I don't know, man. I don't even smoke.
You think he would have?
I think he would.
But sometimes, no matter how hard I'd struggle, I'd give in and sort of provoke him a little bit just to see how far he'd go. Hey, Lem, did you ask him why some people get all the chances and some of us out here don't get nothing? And they get everything? Did you ask him that?
Yeah, I asked him, Roof. He said there's lots of different reasons why a man ain't got no home. Some can't be cramped up inside of a box like that. You know, they're scared, like prison. He said some men forget how to try. Something happened to them sometime and made them forget how to be a human being.
Which one am I then?
Some men just give up trying.
Did you ask him how come he can't at least let everybody have a house? How come he just can't wave his hand and make everybody rich? Did you ask him that?
That's what I said.
Well, what'd he say to that?
He said he'd do that with no problem. He could use the planet like a bowling ball, Roof, program us like ants, but if he did that, it'd take away everyone's free will.
You're like an ant, free will.
That's what he said. He said we'd be like ants.
So what else did you talk about?
Man, after that, I straight out asked him.
Man, can you tell me about my destiny?
Man, you know what you gotta do. You know what you gotta do. You young man, you know what you gotta do. A lot of people don't believe it. That's right, a lot of people don't believe it. And they're putting on, making a joke or something. And that's something, I don't joke about nothing like that. Best to go on, take it on your own, man. That's yourself. You got a mind and soul, that's yourself. What you think you ought to do. When you go ask somebody else out there, they're gonna put you in the wrong direction. We all have a destiny. But we have to be only ones have to work it out. Nobody else can work it out for us. You know what I mean? You understand?
Shit, Lim, how could you just handle not knowing like that, man?
Shit, man. When he told me that, I didn't even care what it was. I just believed him. He said it was up to me to figure it out. He's making me realize that I gotta get that feather and head back to the train before tonight. We gotta get back over there before the sun dies. We gotta get back there before the sun dies. We gotta get back there before the sun dies.
So is that it?
That's it.
I never knew why he picked Oklahoma. I guess it's the furthest place he could imagine. I never knew how he came to think that his destiny lay in finding a peacock feather that he'd give to an Indian chief that he'd never meet anyway. What I do know is when you're hungry, you gotta eat. And when you're thirsty, you gotta drink. The only thing is not being chained to a punch clock every day leaves you out there to fend for yourself, trying to figure out how you're gonna do either without begging for it. Now, I'd steal before I'd ever beg, but I get plenty nervous before I even take the smallest item. Lim says it's my conscience catching up to me. But the only reason his conscience doesn't bother him is I tell him we're in a game of watch and run. He watches and makes sure no one's coming. When I come out, we run off.
Need any help or anything?
You know, it probably is my conscience catching up to me. But I don't think that old guy in the big long car would have a problem with us having a nip every now and then. 'Cause when we drank, we felt like gentlemen, and we could dream that we were kings. You know, sometimes even the losers should get to win.
Have you patiently awaited your turn to find? They just called your number and you're back at the end of the line. You live more than someone 2 times your age. You don't have to tell me 'cause it's written all over your face. It's a long, hard road, and I'm just trying to pass. But the asshole in the slow lane ain't giving it no gas. He ain't giving it no gas.
I'll always look back at these times as being about the lowest that a man can go without just giving away his soul. Well, we still had ours for the moment at least, but as bad as I felt for Lim, a failing liver sometimes had the effect of bringing out a side of me I'm none too proud of. Sometimes it just makes me mean.
I'm the rogue of a million lies, and I've lived a million more. Look for my place in life, but I don't think it's here no more. Looking to find all the answers, but if I did, what would it prove? Another blind test of devotion for the millions of the wasted youth. Try and hide the bottled tears that swell behind my eyes. Another hurt has found its way in the form of a last goodbye. Always I've been in the wrong, no matter what I choose. Dry your eyes and stand your ground with the millions of the wasted youth. Wasted youth.
Something came over me right there. My guard was down. That sun was brighter than it had been. There was nothing that anybody could do. It was like trying to stop the inevitable. Every day, something had to give. But before I'd even knew what I'd done, I almost choked to death as the words came crawling out of my throat. You don't have a destiny. have any of the answers we hope to hear when some bullshit like this happens, because there are none. There wasn't anything. No black clouds rolled away, no shiny destinies revealed, not even a cloud of vapor from Lynn. I'm still not sure what it was, 'cause nobody missed it. Part of me wants to think that even a born loser's given his one chance to win. He's just gotta listen for the call. Hell, if I told you what I think happened, you'd think I was sick in the head. That I was one of those poor, deranged homeless that line the streets of the big cities. You'd think it was a ridiculous story of some tired old soul who had completely lost his way. For the first time in my life, I know exactly where I'm going.
Have you ever had the feeling you're just wasting your time? You just lost a fiver bending over to pick up a dime. Notice the freedom grows from the vine is at champagne prices, but it's a cheap mad dog wine. It's a hard, cruel world, maybe I'm not the one to ask, 'cause the wheels are just spinning, I'm getting nowhere fast, I'm getting nowhere fast. Run around the corner, yeah, you can see for miles, yeah, yeah, yeah. And the past that we left behind can only lead to brighter skies, yeah, it can. Try another language to speak to you in harmonies and mellow blends. And where did you go? Where have you been? Come on in. We've been waiting for you so we can break out the good news. We have come triumphant. We'll bring it on in with us. The good vibes. Good vibes. You are my people. The beloved one that runs thicker than water. Yeah, nothing can get in our way. 'Cause we're gonna keep on. Make sure it happens.